It's a crowded theatrical release season right now. If you listened to last week's episode, you know how much we loved Across the Spider-Verse that came out a couple weekends ago. This weekend is our most anticipated film of the year, The Flash, coming out. And then just a couple weeks after that is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. But sandwiched, kind of in the middle of all of that, was a film that came out this last weekend from what used to be a massive blockbuster franchise. Over the past few years, it's lost a lot of energy. But this episode is our instant reaction to Transformers Rise of the Beasts. It was recorded immediately after seeing it on opening night while driving home. And we'll share in this what we liked, what we didn't, and what we think about that crazy final scene. That's all up next after this short message from the guys over at The Reverend and the Reprobate. This is Tatooine Sons.
We are The Reverend and the Reprobate, just two best buds interviewing people that we have no business talking to. I'm Lucas Pinkard.
I'm Dan Gibson. These aren't tears on my face.
Every Thursday, we interview somebody else from our favorite fandoms and yours. You can check those interviews out on the Christian Nerd HQ network. You can find us on YouTube at RevRep Podcast at ReverendRep.com. And if you can't remember our name, just go to BaconOffice.com. It's way easier to find. New episodes every Thursday. Thank you guys for supporting Christian Nerd HQ, and check out The Reverend and the Reprobate.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody was lit.
We're chit-chatting again. What?
Oh, yeah.
That I was needing? Or?
Yeah, the ones that you didn't think you were going to get.
No One issue 3, which has been a breakout hit this year for comics. The first issue has had 3 printings because the first 2 printings sold out. And the third one's almost sold out now. Hugely popular. And then Supermassive 2023, which is the big kind of Avengers event every year of the Massiverse, which is Radiant Black, Rogue Sun, No One, a few other superhero things for that image it's doing. And so I get to read that, and that one's just a bunch of superheroes going to look for the Holy Grail. That's cool. It's going to be fun. But they have both of those, which was nice because I haven't been able to find them for a while. So yeah, it's nice.
Well, we haven't done one of these in a long time, quite a while, but we're doing one of these. Welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of this generation, that there's a story, it was written on our souls. And that is why we talk about, in this case, Transformers. Rise of the Beasts.
Mythology-wise, I don't know.
I'm not sure. Well, there is some mythology there, you know. I mean, it's their own little mythology with like the Primal and Optimus Primal and how he's from the past, but also from the future and all that stuff. Primus and Unicron and all of that. So, but yeah, let's give our reactions. We literally went from the movie theater to the comic book store. Haven't talked about it really at all, but now we started recording after we left the comic book store. So I'm curious. We have not asked what anybody thought.
No, we kept all of this for video.
So I'll start with you, BB Nate.
Oh, okay.
Give me your raw reaction.
I really feel like that's how you do a Transformers movie.
All right. That's a statement. Explain.
It was fun, which is what you want from Transformers. It had probably the best action we've seen in a long time in a Transformers movie. I'd say since Dark of the Moon.
Yeah.
Because Dark of the Moon had some amazing action pieces. But this one just had a big war element. more close quarters combat than we're used to seeing, along with Optimus and Scourge. Yeah, Scourge was an awesome villain. Cool. Unicron being brought in was awesome. That was so cool to see him in live action finally. Wish we saw him in his robot form, but I don't think we're done with him yet. And I really just had a ton of fun. That was a good movie. It's how you do Transformers well, and a lot of little nods to fans of the old series and some of the comics and some of the games. And
well, we may have to go back to what some of those nods are. All right, Sam, you are the Transformers super nerd.
I wouldn't say super nerd.
Not anymore as much, but you were. When you were a little kid, Transformers was your thing.
That was my thing, yeah. I love Transformers. No, I mean, that movie was a nostalgia trip for, people like me through and through, just from the beginning onward. I loved it. I thought it was a ton of fun. I will admit, I think it suffered from a little bit too quick a pacing at certain parts.
It was a 2 hour and 10-minute movie.
No, yeah, that's a very, very light gripe. I mean, literally, that's pretty much the only gripe I have with the whole movie, in my opinion. Is some of the pacing was a little fast. If that's the worst, then we're doing pretty good. No, it was a ton of fun. Yeah, I mean, well, I kind of want to talk about all like the nostalgia things. There's actually that really pretty interesting reveal at the end.
Yeah, we'll save that for
not what I was expecting.
No one could have guessed
not what I was expecting, but it was great. Prime was cool. I love Optimus Prime, but seeing the Maximals in live action was cool.
Maximize.
Yeah, it was silly nerd stuff the whole way through, and I'm glad. I was a little worried. This might be getting too much into specifics, but
no, it's fine.
I was a little worried they were going to kind of just throw Unicron away at that point. And I'm like, he's way too important of a villain for him to just not even barely show up in one movie and then go away, Right. So I'm glad they just kind of have him tabled for now so they can bring him back later. Because he's a huge threat when he's in the Transformers movie. And I'm with Nathan. I wanted to see him transform into his giant robot form.
I also want to see him kind of navigate Megatron, because that whole
that's true.
relationship is interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, what about you, Deb?
This won't be the popular.
For the parts that you stayed awake for.
No. This is my point though. I came to the conclusion about a third of the way into the movie that I am just not a Transformers movie guy. That's just not my.
But you like Bumblebee.
So I enjoyed the Bumblebee movie. I've only seen it once.
You really enjoyed it. After you got out of the theater, you're like, that was a pretty good movie.
Well, it might have been that the movie was really good, but you had one. I don't remember any Decepticons in that.
There was fights and everything
at all.
There were like 2.
But it was the story was without a doubt the most story heavy Transformers movie. And this one just doesn't really. I mean, it was a fine story, but there wasn't much of a story.
No.
So like any good Transformers.
But that's my point, though. That's why I say I'm just not a Transformers movie guy with it. But anyway, so Sam, you guys both mentioned it, but nostalgia stuff.
Yeah.
Explain some of the nostalgia stuff.
Well, I mean, just the Transformers movies themselves, right? They still pay homage to those. There were some one-liners and jokes that called back to the first movie, which was great. Bumblebee still has his classic look. One thing that I was literally thinking about throughout the movie, and I'm like, there's just no good theme. I'm like,
I was wondering if you're going to bring that up.
I know. I was like, I miss the theme for the first movie. And then they brought it in at the end, and I was like, no way.
Even so it's sort of like,
that was like a really.
There was the payoff there.
It really, I mean, who thought you could almost have a cameo via music? But they had that, and that was a really cool moment for me. Obviously, having the Beast Wars element to it, they could have leaned into it a little bit more with the Predacons, having some of them show up. They might show up later. I mean, we did see their insignia on some of on Scourge's arm, which was cool to see. So, yeah, I mean, there was just a ton of little nostalgia moments for fans like me. What about you, Nate? I mean,
definitely the theme. That was so awesome. I kept waiting for it, and then when they had it happen at the end there, so cool. And even the ending theme. Like, every movie had that, like, classic end theme, and it had that in this. It was just...
with Prime doing some sort of narration.
I mean... That's truly when I'm like, okay, this feels like the Transformers I grew up with. This is the Transformers movies I watched as a kid, but just somehow better. It really felt like the first Transformers movie or Dark of the Moon, which are the two best Transformers movies behind Bumblebee. I think Bumblebee is fantastic, but those two movies are Transformers. And so this really leaned into that for me, and that was awesome. Noah getting an exosuit, which looked a lot like the exosuit in the G1 show that was used.
Explain what you mean.
Well, in the movie.
In the movie, yes.
In the movie.
And so in the Transformers the movie, the animated one,
the original
one. I'm trying to remember the name of the human.
What's that?
Was it Spike?
Spike. Spike. Yes, Spike. He gets a suit from an Autobot in that movie, and it looked very similar to the one we got in this movie.
I don't know, the ones in the
well, they were a lot bulkier.
Yeah, they were blocky. One thing that those exosuits had though is they could like turn like kind of like cars. You can like land your arms and drive.
Oh yeah, like motorcycles.
But it was just cool to see that little nod to the original movie. And another thing that was just small, and probably we only noticed in IMAX, Unicron had such a presence when he was talking to Scourge.
Yeah.
And that was something that was so intimidating about him in the movie. His voice was so loud, and the whole weird, like, acid trip dreams that he would give Megatron and certain things. You felt that in this movie, in the theater. You saw all of that, and it was... And every time his voice was spoken in this movie, I felt it. Like, it was so loud. It was what you want from a Unicron in live action.
Another cool thing was when Scourge was like communicating with him, and Unicron got pissed off because he didn't bring the whole thing. He was like, through time and space, like torturing him, which is what he was able to do to Galvatron in the Transformers movie. Very similar in effect. So that was another cool homage that they're paying to the OG movie where that character showed up. So I liked that. That was neat.
So what do you guys think about Noah and his kind of his character and his storyline throughout the entire film? Maybe start with you, Nate.
I really liked his character. He was fun. He had some great motivation, some really great character moments in itself with him and Mirage and his brother, which I didn't expect them to get that emotional in a Transformers movie, but that really did hit hard. I mean, his brother going through all that and how much the sacrifices he'll go through for his brother, that was really awesome, and it was really cool to see. And I think he was a very fun character, and I hope and I think we will see more of it.
Yeah. Like comparing Noah to like Sam Witwicky from the first three movies, Noah had some skin in the game, it feels like. He had a reason to be fighting. Sam was fighting just because
he got pulled into it.
Yeah, he got wrapped up in it because his family was involved, and now he's got to be involved.
There were some actual stakes.
Right, he had a reason to fight. And one thing that always kind of, not annoyed me, but kind of annoyed me about Transformers movies were the humans were, for the most part, kind of useless. They just had to, they would fit in spaces where the Transformers couldn't fit, and that's about it. Which they did do that to an extent in this movie. But then Noah got the exosuit, right? And he was actually able to, like, contribute with the Transformers. So I liked that. It actually, made the humans a little bit more impactful to the story and be able to actually get in on the action instead of just like sitting around watching the Autobots do all the work. So I liked it. I almost liked it better than Sam Witwicky's. Granted, it's been a while since I've watched those movies, but I think I liked Noah better as a main protagonist. So,
what did you think about his little brother Chris and the way that they portrayed him? And there's a specific scene that I want to reference in a minute, but What were your thoughts on his brother and just the character itself?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't around for a whole lot. I thought he, for lack of a better term, served his purpose. It sounds bad, but he was there to be.
Well, he was the MacGuffin.
Yeah, he was the emotional motivation for Noah to do what he did. I thought he was fine. They really established that a healthy older younger brother relationship, which is always good to see. Sometimes movies will portray where brothers are just always at each other's throats and stuff. So,
and I think that the age difference kind of contributes to that,
and the fact that he's messed up, but
he's got cancer and stuff. So.
Was it cancer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
or sickle cell.
I knew he had sickle cell. So, no, I liked it. I thought it was cool, and I liked at the end how they turned the tables on Noah with what he was saying to his brother, and his brother motivating him at that point. That was a cool little moment, a little callback to earlier in the movie. So,
what did you think, Nate?
Yeah, I really liked this character. I think he was a great way to get the plot going, and like Sam said, it wasn't just the humans were in it and Sam was in it because he got roped into it. I genuinely was worried for Noah. I was worried for Chris. I wanted to see them really win. I wanted to see the humans win. And that really helped drive home that point at the end when Optimus Prime and Optimus Primal and Noah are all working together. The till all are one moment. That drove that home so much more than it would just be if there was no emotional stakes before that point. Because then you're like, they did it. They won. And that was what truly was helping. That was Chris and his character. I really liked it.
I cannot remember her name. Lena, is that her name? Okay. Thoughts on Lena's character and how she kind of was brought in, Elena, to bring in and tie in, I guess, the Maximal side, to bring them into the storyline of that. What were your thoughts on that? I'll start with you, Nate.
I thought she was fine. Not as compelling as Noah or Chris, but that's just because she wasn't the main character. She wasn't the main protagonist. But she served her purpose and what she needed to do. She had her own little arc that was good enough to satisfy, and I mean, she really was just there to be able to be the brains of the job more than anything. But she was fine. Nothing too much to write home about.
Yeah, I think I'd echo that. I mean, she was fine. I do appreciate how they didn't force an awkward
romantic relationship
between her and Noah. I like that they just kind of parted ways and it's no big deal. And obviously, he's still happy for her because he saw the interview on 60 Minutes and stuff. And I like that. You're right. She didn't get as much of a chance to have a backstory and motivation given for her like Noah did. I mean, like you said, Nate, Noah was the main character of the story. So I thought she was fine. But nothing outstanding, I guess. So.
You had Optimus, and you had, is it RC?
RC, which was another callback to the G1 series, which was awesome.
And obviously Bumblebee, who's an amazing, they've done an amazing job of creating a character that you love that doesn't have the opportunity to communicate in the way that
most of them do.
Yeah, the others do. But really the primary transformer in the storyline with this one is Mirage. What did you guys think? I'll start with you, Sam. What were your thoughts on the relationship between Noah and Mirage?
I mean, it is very similar to Bumblebee and Sam in the original movies, but I liked it. I thought he was a fun character. He was a bit rebellious, but not too much. I was curious to see how Pete Davidson would do with it, and he actually did a great job. I was really actually.
I thought he was going to be. I had very low expectations for his ability to carry a character like that.
Yeah, and I think he did great. I think he was a really good choice for that character. He was a ton of fun, great humor. He really was the comedic relief, but not goofy comedic relief or anything. It was well done. It fits Noah's character. It's kind of the flip side of Noah, the other side of his personality, right? So it was a fun connection. I like Mirage as an addition to the story. I was they killed him off. And I was like, well, at least he got better treatment than Jazz did in the first movie. I was so upset. I'm still salty about the way they treated Jazz.
Maybe he'll come back in for
maybe. But I'm glad he's back. He was a fun character, and I'm excited to see him show up more. Yeah, I like that. Nate?
Yeah, I really liked Miraj's character. I, again, had very low expectations of enjoying his character in general, but I really liked it. And he wasn't just funny all the time, and that's all he got, all he brought to the table. He had some great moments. His death scene was really impactful, really helped drive home that point of Noah's motivation towards the end there. And overall, really liked Miraj as a Transformer, and he was cool too. I mean, he had some great moments to his coolness factor, which is what you want from a Transformers movie as well, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but that was my very first Transformer.
Miraj?
Was Miraj.
Really?
Yeah, it was not the little ones too. It was the big ones. It was the bigger one.
Oh, the one that you
I had gotten it for my birthday, and I struggled constantly for transforming because those early Gen 1s were hard to transform and to hold into place. But so it was cool for me to see.
That's cool.
See that.
That's cool.
In there. All right, I need you guys to help me understand the Maximals, and the thing that's throwing me off is Primal and his statement. We were here long before you, and then long after, or something like that.
Time travel.
No, it's not time travel.
It's so much time travel.
It's not time travel.
I don't think you understand, Sam.
Nathan, they said Cybertron right away.
Well, I'm talking about Optimus Primal.
Right.
They weren't on Cybertron.
He was on a different planet. Doesn't mean that their species don't communicate with the people on Cybertron.
I don't think I'm catching what you're saying.
So Primal was named after Optimus Prime.
Correct.
Yes.
He says that.
Right. Cybertron has existed for long before Earth was where it is at this point in the movie, right? The Primal, the Maximals were sent out from Cybertron to colonize other worlds, right? At which point, Primal was probably named that because...
Well, Primal wasn't named that until the opening sequence that we saw when the other Primal, the other guy...
That was 8 Max or something like that.
Okay, whatever he was.
He was Optimus Primal in the original, but he mentions that he was named after the legend of Optimus Prime's sacrifice.
They didn't say sacrifice. They said he was a great warrior, a great general. They didn't say anything about sacrifice.
And then at the end, when Optimus Prime was about to sacrifice himself, Optimus Primal literally said, "Your sacrifice will become our oath." They already had the oath.
He did say that.
He was a great warrior. Optimus Prime was a great warrior. That's past tense right there. And then your sacrifice will become our oath. The Maximals are from the future of Cybertron that have started to go colonize other worlds, and when they use the transwarp key, which goes between time and
does talk about
space,
time travel in the opening,
they went to Earth way back in the past, which is the whole kind of Maximals, the Beast Wars that we've come to know
from the
and they were there for hundreds of years leading up to this point.
Thousands
of years leading up to this point when they met up with the Autobots. It's time travel.
It's not time travel. I don't see it. I can justify it just as well as you are that it's not time travel.
Please do justify it, because
we're going to just sit here and keep going in
seems
circles.
like the only logical reason right now.
Well, we'll see. With it, I do think that
we brought in the G.I. Joe.
Okay. All right. So that was a rumor. I think I even sent that.
You said it was a rumor, but I did not buy it.
I think last week I sent it in our group chat.
I must have missed it.
Like
that there was
possible trailer.
Yeah, exactly. That there's a rumor that they were going to go in production on a live action Transformers G.I. Joe crossover.
I was like, you're crazy.
I thought, as a kid of the 80s,
I thought it was awesome.
That was an amazing, like that. They did that in the comics.
As long as it wasn't the Dwayne Johnson.
What's
G.I.
that?
Joe. As long as it wasn't the Dwayne Johnson G.I.
Well, I
Joe.
think that's what they may be doing.
Can't.
It's in the 90s at this point, so it's
Maybe they'll reboot it.
Maybe they'll pull what they're doing with Transformers and actually make it good.
Just do a soft reboot.
So did you guys think when he was having those conversations with that guy that this was he was being recruited for Nest? Is that what it was?
That's what I really
made
thought.
sense, because I'm like, the only secret organization for Transformers is Nest. That just checks out. And so they pulled a curtain all over all of our eyes.
Really played with our expectation there, which I think helps further kind of cement that this isn't really connected to the original movies.
But they played the theme.
They can play the theme. Bumblebee also looks the same. That doesn't mean that
it was a soft. They've said before that the original was a soft. Bumblebee was a soft reboot.
I mean, I think in the new Star Treks, they played the theme and stuff. Then again, they did have Spock, so
time travel.
That's the Kelvin universe, they call that.
Right.
So it is a shift.
So they can reference the originals, and I think they're paying honor and homage to the originals. But I think it is a reboot, and I think the whole G.I. Joe thing helps further cement that. Right? Otherwise, it would be Nest, and we would be seeing the formation of that. Although I don't think Nest was formed until after the first movie, like when they started working with the Autobots and stuff. I think we really first saw it in
but wasn't in the first movie there was another secret organization?
There was just the CIA.
It was just like the CIA, FBI, like
no, it was like Sector 7 or something like that. The John Turturro's character had his own like T-shirt and all that.
There was Sector 7, but that was just where they researched like
Alien
the Allspark and stuff. There wasn't a task force or anything like Nest. But since this was a soft reboot, I thought, this is where we're going to see the formation of Nest. And they
not G.I. Joe.
Not G.I. Joe. I mean, it's so out there. It seems like you would never really connect Transformers and G.I. Joe together.
The Hasbroverse.
But it works. I mean, they did it. And let's just be honest. Both lines were created. Both franchises were created to sell toys.
Absolutely.
What better way to increase toy sales than to merge the two universes together?
Honestly, though, that would be so cool.
I would love it.
A giant battle with G.I. Joe and Transformers working together.
Could you imagine like Megatron and King Cobra working together? Is it King Cobra?
It's Serpentor. Or it's Serpentor is the ultimate bad guy later, but it's Cobra Commander.
Cobra Commander. That's what I mean.
So I was trying to figure out what you're talking about.
I'm not as familiar as.
We're getting into my world.
I know. Yeah, I know. You were into G.I. Joe, but like that would be so cool, right? Commander Cobra and Megatron working together.
It's Cobra Commander.
Cobra Commander, whatever. I'll get there eventually. And Snake Eyes and like Bumblebee fighting.
Well, and they've rebooted Snake Eyes, even though that's still set in sort of the modern era.
Oh, that's right. They did do that Snake Eyes.
Which was a great movie.
It was actually really good. Although it wasn't, though. I completely forgot about it. But, no, I did remember liking that movie.
We saw it twice.
Did we?
I think so.
I only remember seeing it once, but...
You guys saw it twice?
But, no, I think that could be the soft reboot, honestly. But I think that would be a really cool connection. What other, like, Hasbro things could they make into this?
That's a Hasbro.
No, you can't do that. And that was, I'm pretty sure that wasn't Hasbro.
No.
I think that was Mattel.
I'm trying to remember what
My Little Pony.
Goodness gracious.
Maybe die.
That would be weird. It is funny to think about the fact, and it's well established. We're not talking about anything people don't already know, but G.I. Joe and Transformers were created to sell toys. Right? They were franchises created to sell toys.
Same with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
With Teenage Mutant, well, that was a comic series, though.
It was a comic series designed to sell toys. I remember watching a video talking about their origin. It was all just to sell their little silly toys and stuff, and it worked.
But that all comes back to roots in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because when George Lucas ended up coming up with the license, securing the licensing rights going forward for toys and merchandise, and then Kenner, created the toys, and they took off the way that it was. That's where he made most of his money. That ended up allowing him to create Lucasfilm and all of that. And so people, his companies tried to reverse engineer that, and that's where G.I. Joe and Transformers came out, and that's the whole reason for the death of Optimus Prime in the
it was to boost sales of
create a second line, a second generation of toys. And that backfired. So backfired.
It backfired so bad. I was upset, and I watched the movie like 20 years later. It is interesting. I mean, I don't think kids buy toys quite as much.
No, they don't. The toy world is different now.
It's more just collectors, honestly. It's adults who were kids and played with toys. Now they want to buy the nicer toys and form a collection. So that's why people are buying stuff. Like the Black Series figures and stuff for Star Wars and things like that. But I mean, it's funny. We'll walk through the store and I'll be walking down an aisle and it goes past the toy section, and I'll catch a glimpse of some Transformers stuff. I'm like, no way, they've got sludge from the Dinobots and stuff. Like, that's cool. It almost makes me want to buy it just because it's cool and I liked it.
It's nostalgic.
Not that I'm a kid. I'm probably gonna leave it in the box, but it is interesting.
Until Gwen Stacy comes into your room. Right?
That hurt.
And across the Spider-Verse. It's funny. You can tell in the moment that happens. I've been in the theater 3 times when that moment happened. Yeah. You can tell who the people that understand collectibles in the theater are, because there's a audible moment for, oh no, with that. So if you're going to rank the Transformers movies, where does this land for you guys? I guess we can start with you, Sam.
I would go Bumblebee. And then I'm still up in the air about this one. It might be like a 2A, 2B thing with this one, the first Transformers. I think the first Transformers just still has a good bit of nostalgia for me, just because, I grew up on that one quite a bit. But this one was really good. I really did like this one. I think a second watch might help, maybe a refresh of the first movie. It would go those two, and then probably Dark of the Moon, and I don't remember really the rest enough to rank them.
There was Revenge of the Fallen.
I mean, I know which ones there were.
They aren't worth remembering.
I haven't seen them very much. I remember not liking 5 at all. I think 4 was okay, and Revenge of the Fallen.
The Last Night, I think, was 5.
The Last Night was 5.
And it was okay.
I don't think I've ever even seen The Last Night.
I remember that.
You guys went and saw it, and I don't think...
Yeah, I think you're right.
We never went to theaters to see it.
Last night?
No, we watched it on our phones on a drive from Phoenix to Colorado.
Oh. I just remember, the horrible, continuity errors they introduced with Bumblebee fighting in World War II. And we literally saw him show up.
That could be time travel.
Time travel.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense because Optimus and Bumblebee and all of them are hesitant about interacting with humans.
Maybe humans betray?
But that was later when he goes back in time.
Hey, you don't deal with timeline stuff as much as I do with DC.
This is true.
I don't want them to go down that route. It just makes everything convoluted and confusing.
It's the world between worlds.
Yeah, but Star Wars used it once.
Until the Ahsoka series. I promise you.
So far.
Well, it's not going to get as convoluted as Star Trek or something.
We knock on wood. Nate, your ranking of the movie.
Bumblebee's first, for sure. I just feel like that movie was so good, just on so many levels. I put this one second. I really liked it. It was just all around an awesome Transformers movie. And I'd put Dark of the Moon third. I feel like that movie just has some amazing action sequences. That last hour 15 is just some of the coolest action we get from Transformers. It's so awesome. But the story itself is okay. There's some great moments there with Sam. and him trying to get a job and all that stuff. And we get some more development for his character than anything. And honestly, I feel like it's a great ending of the Transformers franchise. It should have been at that point, but then they had to change it and bring in Mark.
Which they reference.
That was fun. Yeah, that was hilarious. Then I put Age of Extinction at 4th. Age of Extinction.
I forgot about that one.
Isn't bad.
Dinobots.
Yeah, it isn't horrible. I remember as a kid,
he's not that good in this movie though. They kind of did the Dinobots a little dirty. Won't lie.
It was fun. I remember I enjoyed it, but it was just not great. And then the 5th one last, because why make Optimus bad? You're not DC. It's not Superman. Just calm down. Please. It just didn't work. And then him fighting Bumblebee. Don't make my heart go through that. It's just stop. It didn't make sense. But yeah, that's the ranking. Well, overall, above all of those, Transformers movie.
The animated movie.
I
was kind of hoping they might bring in one of the songs from that.
Not yet. Not yet.
They weren't gonna.
The soundtrack is phenomenal.
I listen to it all the time. When back when
that's probably why you're obsessed with 80s rock.
Absolutely. 100%. No, when we were in Colorado, still living in Colorado, and I was going to PBCC, whenever I would have a test and I'd be like stressed out about it, I would blast the Touch from that song from it to get me hyped up. It's still in my playlist. I'll listen to that one and Dare all the time.
It's great.
They're great. They you could play it for anybody and they think it would be any 80s song from that era. But no, it's from the Transformers movie.
And we haven't been hurting with Transformers content recently. We've gotten that amazing Netflix series.
I need to finish that.
I need to finish it as well because we're at the Beast Wars part, which is pretty good. But honestly, some amazing Transformers content in animated form.
Soon, aren't we?
We are getting a new game soon. A first-person shooter, Earthspark, which is crazy. And when I saw that trailer, none of us thought it was a Transformers game. But when we saw Transformers show up, we were so excited. And so we haven't been hurting for good Transformers content recently. It's been good. We got this movie. It was good too. So honestly, it's not bad to be a Transformers fan right now.
I don't think this series will ever
die.
No, I don't think it'll ever die, but I don't think it'll ever garner the attention or anything or scope that just like superhero movies.
Oh no!
Because even just case in point here, you're not a huge fan of it. Not that you dislike it, but it's just not your style.
No, I mean I was looking forward to tonight, and it was a fine movie. I enjoyed the movie.
You're just waiting for next week.
I'm just really excited about the Flash next week. So.
But I think this franchise will always kind of fill a more niche target. There's always going to be an audience for it, I think, but it's never going to quite be as successful as some other popular franchises. And I think that's just something that's got to be accepted. But as long as they'll keep making good content, I'll keep watching it and playing the games and all that. I want to follow Cybertron Remaster.
Oh my gosh.
It was a great game.
Fall and War of Cybertron.
Those are great games. I need those back.
I am your father.
It's not easy finding a dad moment for this episode because, from at least my perspective, Transformers Rise of the Beasts, it kind of struggles to find much of a footing when it comes to that story written on our souls that we talk about at the opening to the show. There are some storylines that could have maybe led me in that direction. We have Noah's struggle with finding a path after leaving the military, even Elena's being minimized by those she reports to at the museum. But those moments in this movie are barely mentioned and then kind of discarded as quickly in favor of some more giant robots just battling other giant robots. But maybe it's possible that in that we actually can find a lesson. Sometimes we go to the movies to watch giant robots that look really cool and do really cool things battle each other. Maybe we don't always need some epic mythological story to build into everything that we talk about. So maybe we just need to be entertained, and that's what we were in this with this film. At least Sam and Nate more than me. But anyway, well, that's the way it goes. But I hope you enjoyed the show. Follow this show on whatever social media you are a part of. It's the same on all of them, at Tatooine Sons, SONS. We are part of the Christian Nerd HQ. It's a place where those that are Christians that follow Jesus can find a safe spot to talk about all things nerdy. On Mondays, we have the Christian Nerds Unite podcast that comes out. We have this podcast, Tatooine Sons, comes out on Tuesdays. Wednesdays is for Fangirling Over Jesus with Ashley Cox. Thursdays, the guys that you heard about at the opening of the show, the Reverend and the Reprobate. And then Fridays, it's the Speaking Nerdy podcast. So you can find all of the links to their shows in the show notes. So just click on that, listen to some of those others, give them ratings and reviews, give us a rating and review as well. It helps people find the show. It makes a big difference. We truly do appreciate that. And then you can follow Christian Nerd HQ on all the socials. Just look for that. Christian Nerd HQ. With that, make sure you share the show with the other Christian nerds in your life. We would love for them to know about this and participate and be a part of our Tatooine Sons and Christian Nerd HQ world. That's going to do it for this week. Next week, it's another one of our instant reaction episodes. This time it will be about The Flash. We're very excited about that. So tune in next week. But until then,
may the force be with you always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Joy, please.
Yep, yep.